ሰላም አድማጮቼ እንደምን ሰንብታችኋል? መስፍን ነኝ ከቶፕ ኢትዮ ቻናል። በዛሬው ቀን ይዤላችሁ የመጣሁት እንግዲህ ከወትሮው ለየት ባለ መልኩ ጥሬ ስጋ የሚበላ ወጣት ነው። እኛ ኢትዮጵያኖች ጥሬ ስጋ እንበላለን ይባላል። እስኪ የዚህ ልጅ አበላል ይሁና ፍረዱ ወይም ልምድ ውሰዱ። በተረፈ ሰብስክራይብ፣ ሼር እና ላይክ ማድረግን አይርሱ። መልካም ጊዜ።
There are benefits to consuming raw foods over cooked foods, but it's very important to note that both raw, cooked, as well as fermented foods, essentially rotten foods, played a role in the diets of every single one of our hunter-gatherer ancestors. What I mean by this is that every single group of human beings has always consumed animal foods in these three forms: raw, cooked, and fermented, for various reasons. Raw foods tend to have a higher nutrient density, especially for the organs. Cooked foods have a higher calorie density. They're good for surviving, especially in colder climates. And fermented foods have specific nutrient as well as beneficial bacterial properties. This video, we're going to have a raw carnivore meal. And the main reason I like raw meals is I feel like they don't sap my energy. You know, when I have a completely raw meal, regardless of what it is, there are a few things that go into keeping my energy levels high. One is that raw food is very easy on the digestive system. The enzymes in the body are meant to digest raw food, especially when hydrochloric acid breaks down protein structures. So just having the food in its raw state makes it more available to the digestive system and all completely raw. So I shouldn't feel like I need to take a nap after this. What I usually do here is I have some Redmond's real salt. Redmond's salt is much more potent than any other salt I've tried. So when you put just a little bit of this on your food, you want to be careful. You want to almost like powder it on, because if you put too much of this salt on, the food starts tasting really salty. I believe it's because of the iodine content of the salt being very high. So on the ground beef, I usually just put a little bit of salt. Since the palatability of raw foods is pretty low, they don't really taste that good. It's really easy to gauge your appetite and see if you're truly hungry. This can be very helpful for weight loss, even something as silly as trying to save money on food. I don't actually feel super hungry today, and that might be because I didn't work out yesterday. So I'm just going to try to have the salmon roe and maybe some prosciutto just to get my nutrients in for today. Because I think if I get through all this ground beef, I'm not going to be hungry for anything else. I never force myself to eat anything I don't want to. So if I start eating this and I'm not hungry anymore, I'll move on to another food. If you guys want to learn more about fish eggs, salmon roe, I did a video the other week titled "Caviar is a Superfood" if you want to check that out. But there isn't really a food that tastes so good after just putting salt on it. Now Frankie Boy gets to enjoy some prosciutto. I will warn you guys, this meal is not for anyone with a histamine intolerance or someone who could not tolerate reasonable amounts of salt. Just bear that in mind. Everything here is incredibly salty, the salmon roe, the prosciutto, and it's also high in histamines as these are aged foods. What really bothers me is they always trim the fat off the prosciutto, and that's the best tasting part. It's pretty crazy that the government has convinced all Americans that fat is so bad, yet you have places like Spain and Japan where they literally know the fat is the best part. Total cultural disconnection. I don't know if it's because I'm Italian. I've always almost preferred the taste of pork over beef. It's just the quality of pork is so low, like, it's hard to get your hands on good stuff. Sturgeon roe if you want to treat yourself. We have ground beef, and we will have prosciutto in the future. We might be selling Iberico, Spanish ham as well, but definitely what's going on. I'm going to show you guys a nutrient-dense carnivore meal, the foods I eat, and why I eat them. So the heart is for B vitamins, choline. The testicles are an excellent source of zinc.
The liver, of course, all the fat-soluble vitamins, particularly vitamin A. The bone marrow, we're consuming for fat calories, some vitamin K2, all the fat-soluble vitamins as well. And then the meat is just mainly calories, minerals. All of these foods, for the most part, the overarching idea is a fairly significant vitamin content as well as mineral content, but specific foods like the liver for vitamin A, C, the testicles for zinc, the bone marrow for K2, the heart for choline. There's specific reasons I eat certain foods. As you can see, the marrow changed color pretty drastically. It's a lot easier to get out now. It's a little soft. The reason I chop up the liver like this is just so I could swallow it down quick at the beginning of the meal. You know, the taste of the liver is pretty good. Really depends on the quality. Normally, I just swallow the liver down. The only time I will sit down and... But these I usually just swallow down too. Get the zinc in, nutrients in. So that's kind of like the supplementary part of my meal out of the way. The rest of the stuff I usually do chew and enjoy. So this is the lamb heart. Heart is very, very minerally tasting, pretty lean. Definitely similar to muscle meat. I like the fat on the heart. It tastes good. The fat is probably my favorite part. Now I'm just going to have a little bit of filet mignon in the bone marrow. The flavor of this is a little off. Probably just the animal. Most people would call this very, very gamey tasting. And they wouldn't be wrong. Try a bite of bone marrow. You just have to consume a little bit more of it or be more mindful of other sources of nutrition. So I'm going to start my day with the higher nutrient foods. And here we have some lamb kidneys and some liver. The liver is actually, this is a piece of baby lamb liver. And these very tiny, cute little kidneys are the baby lamb kidneys. I know it's a little cruel, you know, look how tiny they are, but what are you going to do? So the kidneys I just soaked in water for a little bit just to remove any negative taste of urine. And the liver I just sliced a piece off. We're consuming these two foods because they are really the most nutrient dense parts of the animal. Both liver and kidney have every single vitamin you need. They have all the water soluble B vitamins, they have vitamin C, they have all the fat soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K. There's even some omega-3 fatty acids in these foods. The main difference is kidney is a little bit higher in selenium and liver has a much higher vitamin A content. Otherwise, these foods are pretty even in regards to their nutrient density. So the kidney has a mild minerally smell to it. And a very mild flavor. These are actually the mildest tasting kidneys I've ever had. This is the reason I bought the baby lamb kidneys, is because the younger the animal, the more mild tasting the meat is. And in the case of kidneys, generally they are pretty strong tasting. I think I'll save the other kidney for tomorrow. I'm not too hungry, but we'll try some lamb liver. Super, I don't even taste this. This is so mild in flavor, it almost has no flavor. The liver was good. I don't know, I thought I was gonna cook a meal. I just got 2 ribeye steaks, decent amount of fat on them. Sometimes I do add some raw butter for some vitamin K too, but I'm not that hungry today, so I think I'm just gonna have the steaks. Just for the sake of digestion, I do usually try to chew it pretty well. One question that comes up a lot is telling the difference between grass-fed and grain-fed beef. And grass-fed beef usually will be a bit darker in color, but the main thing to see here is the difference in the fat. The fat of the grass-fed beef will generally be off-white to yellow in color, and it'll be very soft and creamy when it breaks up in your hand, and when you chew it, it's soft. It has like a mild, nutty, grassy flavor. If you ever try to eat the raw fat on a grain-fed steak, it's like off tasting.
አድማጮቼ በዚህ ቪዲዮ እንደተዝናናችሁ እገምታለሁ። ስሙ ፍራንክ ይባላል። ፍራንክ ስጋ የሚበላው እንደዚህ ነው ይለናል። ወይ እሱ ከኛ ይማራል ወይም እኛ ከሱ እንማራለን። በነገራችን ላይ መልካም ጊዜ እንዳሳለፋችሁ ገምታለሁ። እስከሚቀጥለው ሳምንት ደህና ሁኑ ያልኩኝ ሰብስክራይብ፣ ሼር ኤንድ ላይክን ማድረግን አይርሱ። ቹስ